Welcome. This is Prime News. I'm Michael Amos. This hour, a live-in boyfriend and a mother sit behind bars, charged with first-degree murder in the heinous killings of her own little boy. Robert Manwill's body was found floating in a canal near Boise, Idaho on August 3rd. Here are the suspects. Melissa Jenkins, she's 30, mother of 2 other kids. And her live-in boyfriend, Daniel Ehrlich Jr., he's 36, criminal record that goes back to junior high. Now, they were arrested yesterday, and the grand jury indictment was just unsealed today. The details horrific. Police say little Robert suffered ongoing emotional abuse, physical abuse, so brutal it ended up killing him. Ehrlich Jr. accused of torturing Robert, beating him with his hands, feet. Police say mom even helped, didn't help her son, so no one would find out or get him help. She did nothing. We take your calls, 1-877-TEL-HLN. Joining us to talk about it, Don Clark, former FBI special agent in charge. Also with us, Mark Eiglarsh, defense attorney, former prosecutor. And on the phone with us, Greg Hahn, local news editor for the Idaho Statesman. Greg, what happened to that little guy on the day he died? Do we know specifics here?
We don't even know what day he died. The police have been, what you guys have seen in the indictments is as much detail as they've released, and as kind of horrific as it is, it doesn't really offer sort of the details and insight you have to even kind of replicate what might have happened. We had a clue yesterday. The police started asking folks for information about what Jenkins and Ehrlich what their actions were in the week leading up to his reported disappearance, which made us think it was more than just about that Friday night where they called the police.
Do we definitively know, Greg, that was the last day that little Robert was seen, July 24th?
We tried for days to find folks, and as close as we could get to someone who said they saw him that day was a 7-year-old girl, a neighbor.
Yeah.
Her parents believed her, and she, there still hasn't no proof that she didn't see him, but she was the last one of all the neighbors, of all the family and friends that we could talk to, who thought she had seen him.
Yeah. That day. And there was a report that Ehrlich Jr., who was watching little Robert, his story was what? That he last saw Robert at the pool or in jacuzzi with a heavyset couple, right?
Well, that was one of the stories that folks told us he was saying. I mean, we had heard also that he had told police that he thought his dad had maybe taken the boy, but he did tell at least one neighbor that he had seen Robert down by the hot tub, I guess, by the pool with a couple. A man had a mustache, and folks he didn't know.
Okay, in the indictment, it talks about Robert being subjected to, and I'm quoting here, escalating physical violence. I mean, was Robert beaten and abused every time he went to visit his mom? Do we know how long it was going on?
We never were able to find any evidence of that. I mean, obviously the police have laid that out, or the prosecutor has. We've talked to family and friends and his teachers and various other folks, but we're still trying to nail down exactly how long he was back at his mom's house. His dad had custody in a town outside of Boise, about an hour away. But she had visitation rights. We don't know if he was there for the weekends or if he was there. This lays out that kind of went over from the month of June into towards the end of July. So we're trying to find out now if he pretty much had been living there for the summer, or if he had been on and off.
So we're all clear here, Greg. That's what the indictment is insinuating, that it wasn't just a one-time beating, that he was being beaten as he visited mom. And we're not sure over what time frame, though, right?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And from the way we read that is what ties her into the first-degree murder charges, is that she kind of watched this happening and helped keep other folks from knowing about it.
Yeah, didn't call, didn't get help, nothing for her own flesh and blood. Cute little 8-year-old boy. I want to bring Don Clark in. Don, is that the way you're reading it as well? That this little guy was subjected to just escalating abuse, and we're still just trying to nail down a timeline here?
Absolutely, Mike. And this is just horrendous. Every time I think I've seen a worse situation, something else pops up here. But, my big question is, law enforcement is going to do the right thing in this case. They have to really trace down and nail this case down. There's a lot of good evidence out there. But where the heck has CPS been during the course of all of this, too? And I think law enforcement should go and talk to CPS and try to find out what they knew, which will help them make their case.
Yeah, let me ask Mark this before we go to break. Mark, we got about 30 here, because that's one of the questions. Mom was basically convicted of fracturing the skull of her 9-month-old son. Lost custody. It was ruled an accident because they didn't have any witnesses, the way I understand it. It was just a little 9-month-old and mom. And she lost custody.
And was still on probation during this.
So how does Robert go there for an unsupervised visit, Mark?
Good question, and someone needs to be held accountable. There's your 30-second answer, Mike. I mean, there's no excuse for it. Was she properly rehabilitated? Obviously, she couldn't handle her first child, and now left to care for this one. This one, Mike, this one's touching me worse than anyone else. My son, this could be my oldest son. It's just, it's heartbreaking.
No, I'm with you, Mark. Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll take your calls, your comments, your questions. 1-877-TEL-HLN is the number. We'll delve further into the history of not only, look at that little smile, that little cute little grin, and what he must have went through before his death. Little Robert Manwill. We're going to get to the bottom of it for you. Stay with us.